Rev up your engines! Well, if you don't trust used car dealers, you'd probably trust online car dealers even less. The online car dealer Vroom has all kinds of problems with people. People in Louisville, Kentucky are furious. This guy, Larry Martin, tried it out. He bought a car, he traded his car in, he got his car and he's driving around, but guess what? They never paid him for the car he traded in. They told him, don't worry, you'll get a check in 3 to 4 business days for your car that you traded in. Now it's 3 months later and he's still waiting for the check for the car he traded in. 23 grand, they still haven't paid him. And Larry says, I called them, but it sounds like a call center in India. They weren't helpful at all, I still don't have my money. Now the car he traded in is on Vroom's website, listed for sale, same VIN number, right? They're selling it, but they didn't pay him yet. Or maybe they're waiting to sell it. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Let's face it. You're dealing with these corporations. They have your money, or in the case of the other guy, your car and not paid for it. They don't really care. Try to get a hold of people in these giant corporations. It's absurdity trying to deal with these corporations. And of course, here's the statement from Vroom. We regret any customer not having a positive experience Vroom strives to deliver. 3 months, they still hadn't paid him the 23 grand, right? I mean, unbelievable. Site says, what about the new 2020-23 Highlander? Do you think Toyota made a mistake in going V6 to 2.4 turbo? Will it be as reliable as the V6? Probably not. I mean, Toyota makes good vehicles. There's no arguing that. And the 4-cylinder engine is an excellent engine. But as anything else, the more pressure any machine has, the faster it's going to wear out. The 4-cylinder, by its nature of being smaller, and then with the turbo, all it does is ram air in, which increases the pressure inside the engine, and that wears the engine out fast. It's not going to last as long. Toyota makes good stuff. They can last a long time. But any vehicle out there, it doesn't matter. You put a turbo on it, it's going to wear things out faster. A lot of companies say, well, ours are good for 100, 150,000 miles with the turbo, you know, and you're like, geez, I want to get 4 or 5 out of my Toyota. It's going to wear out then. I don't want to buy one of those things with a turbocharger on it. Rob says, I got a 2009 Mercury Mariner. It doesn't start right. It's my grandmother's car. It's got 200,000 plus miles. Sometimes you turn the key multiple times before the car turns over. The dash light all light up. You can hear the starter spinning and it just won't start. I know it's not the starter. I put a new one in yesterday. I know it's not the battery. I had it tested. What could be wrong? You got a car that it's turning over, but it won't start. You got a problem with the ignition or the fuel system. Watch my video, fixing a car that cranks but doesn't start up. It'll give you every test you can do. Numero uno, most common thing with that is a weak fuel pump. The fuel pump has to pump fuel. When it's sitting there, it's not doing anything. When you start it up, the electricity has to make it spin. That's the original one. I can just about guarantee you that's the problem. You want a quick, simple test. First thing you should do, get some starting fluid. Pop off the air filter. Have somebody crank the engine. While they're cranking it, spray a little starting fluid. If it starts and then dies, odds are your fuel pump's bad. Now, you could also have a bad fuel pump relay. But on those, if the relay's going bad, it's because the pump is worn and draining too much juice. So then I would change the pump. That's the most common thing. But of course, it could be anything. It could be your ignition system's crapped out. You can see, do you have spark? If you got spark, well, then you don't have fuel. And like I say, odds are it's the fuel pump starting to go out. And you say, sometimes it starts, sometimes it doesn't. It's an electric pump. Sometimes it won't work, sometimes it will work. I see that all the time with that kind of mileage on it. Pravnish says, if an engine oil is overfilled, can it cause a problem? My dad has a Hyundai Accent 2012. He took it to the dealership and he saw it was about an inch over the full mark and oil was leaking. My dad went and got it changed out regularly. It's not full anymore, but did he get any damage done? All right, well, he said it was leaking a little oil. Here's the thing. You get too much oil in your engine. It builds up too much pressure. It can blow the oil seals. And you might think, well, oil seals only cost $10. Yeah, but if it's the rear main oil seal, you got to pull the engine out to change it. So it's a very expensive job, right? Now, hopefully, it was just leaking out of them and it didn't blow the seals out of their holes. It just blew past the pressure of the spring on the seal and it's still okay. If it doesn't leak oil now that he's got it fixed, great. Now, I doubt if it's done any serious damage to the engine otherwise, because to do that, you have to have 3, 4, 5 quarts too much. Then there's so much oil that when the pistons are going up and down, it can actually bend the piston rods. They can bend because there's so much oil. Oil doesn't compress like air, and the piston's pushing against oil, and it can bend the piston rod. Just like hydrolocking an engine. If you get water inside your engine pistons, when the piston goes up, it can't crush the water much, maybe 2%, but not like air where it can squash it. Then it's still pushing, so the piston rod gets bent. So, but I wouldn't really think it was that with just an inch above. I don't think it's done any damage. Just make sure he watches the oil level, because if it keeps leaking out of the seals, take it back to the dealer and say, you guys overfilled this thing, you're going to reseal this engine. And if they don't, hire a lawyer, you'll win. DM says, any idea why my steering wheel shakes when I start the car? And is it okay to use regular gas when it says premium and '08 Lexus? Well, do the gas first. Yes, you can use regular gas. This is premium. You will lose a few horsepower. Let's say you got 240 horsepower. Maybe it'll only have 220. Still plenty of horsepower. It won't hurt anything. The computer can compensate for it. It's not going to hurt anything. Your steering wheel shakes when you start the car. Generally, that means you got a bad motor or transmission mount. When you start the car, it can bounce and it'll make things shake. Check the motor mounts, especially the dog mounts that are on the top of the engine. They often go bad. They look like a dog bone, rubber, and they bolt on. And those you can change yourself. Even though they're a motor mount, you don't have to jack anything up. You can leave it on the ground, take the 2 bolts off, slide it out, slide a new one and bolt it in, and away you go. Pray it's that, not one of the big ones where you got to pull the whole engine up to change them, which is a royal pain in the wazoo. James Self says, Scotty, help. Any idea why Chevy Equinox 2015 2.4 consumes a quart of oil every 1,000 miles? 93,000 miles, and the engine is not blowing out oil. Okay, it's not blowing out oil, but it's burning oil because those engines aren't that well made. Now, if you would have bought it brand new and been a fanatic like me and say change the engine oil and filter every 5,000 miles with full synthetic oil, it probably wouldn't be happening. But you push oil changes on those, they're cheaply made, and they will just burn oil because the piston rings just flat wear out. If you want to make sure that what I'm saying is true, have all the spark plugs taken out and do a wet and dry compression test. You do the dry one, you see what the pressure is. Then you add a little oil to each cylinder and check it. And then when you put that oil in, if the pressure goes up a whole bunch, it means the rings are worn, and there's nothing you can do other than rebuilding the engine, which it isn't worth doing on one of those engines because the cars aren't worth much. Just keep buying oil. Oil is cheap. Engine repairs are super high expensive. Here, Irishman says, I have a vibration while I accelerate. I sold my WRX and picked up an '01 Toyota Corolla. Runs good. 164,000. When I accelerate 27 to 2800 RPMs, there's a lot of vibration like a buzzing sound. Not sure what it is. Runs fine otherwise. What could it be? Noises and vibrations can be real stinkers to figure out. So watch my video, Finding the Source of Car Noises, Scotty. You can buy one of those machines, and there's all kinds of machines. That one's like 150 new. You can get them used for 60, or you can buy a brand new Chinese version. I got another video on that. That costs like 60 bucks, and it comes with wires and sending units, headphones, and a control box. And if there's 8 sensors like in the Chinese one I have, you put one all over the body and you click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 while you're driving. Well, let somebody else driving and you can listen. And you say, okay, it's loudest here. And then you go to that area and you pinpoint the noise. Say it only occurs at certain RPMs. It could be as simple as your fan belt's worn and loose, or your automatic tensioner. A lot of times the automatic tensioners, those Corollas go bad, and they'll start vibrating at a certain speed, and that would be at the engine. Then you put things on automatic adjuster, one of those clips, and you hear the noise loud there, you know that's what it is. You always have to pinpoint it rather than guess. It's Corolla. They're really well-made vehicles, and they generally don't have any kind of problems, so it could even be an alternator, bearings are going out, but you can pinpoint it with a machine like that to listen to find it out. And of course, if you can just sit there in the driveway and rev it up to 2,800 RPM and then hear it, you can use your ears and a giant screwdriver to find out where the vibration's coming from. Mr. Chandler says, Scotty, the airbag light came on in my car. It won't go off. I took the battery off, moved the switch of the airbag. It wouldn't go off. What can I do? Airbag systems are relatively complex. Your airbag light is on. When it's on, it means it's not operating right, and there is a code stored. Start with a mechanic like me that has a good scan tool. Get it scanned. You'll get a code. They'll tell you what it is. If they don't tell what it is, email me and I'll tell you what it is. The codes all have specific meanings. It could be as simple as there's some debris hit the sensor on the front, or a wire got clipped, or it could be as complex as the module for it has gone bad. What you're trying to do is reset it. Obviously, you got a problem, and resetting it isn't going to fix the problem. It could even be the airbag itself has gone bad. They do go bad over time. Things just wear out. And it's a Hyundai, so that doesn't shock me in the least, you know. Check closely. See if there's a recall for your airbag. Maybe it's got those stupid Takata airbags and it's recalled and you get it fixed for free. You never know. Always check recalls first. All you got to do is go to the National Highway Traffic Safety Association.org in the United States anyways, and put in your VIN number. It'll tell you if there's recalls for it. It's a real handy free website that the government has. And if it is, take it in. They got to fix it for free. If not, and it's not covered, you're going to probably look at pretty expensive repairs because airbag parts are very expensive. Generally, they're only sold at the dealer, and working on them is not that easy. You got to have expensive equipment, so nobody's going to fix them that cheaply. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.